It's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
It's a very good evening, Zimbabwe. It's ZiFM Sport on a Friday, your weekend preview show. And to preview that weekend are Chris Midzi, Mike Madoda, Alois Bunjira, Sean Tafirinika, our producer, and I'm Barry Manandi. Now on the home front, the government could procure bucket seats locally while hoping CAF will clear the National Sports Stadium to host the Warriors 2022 AFCON qualifier against Algeria in November. We'll get the ZiFM Sport thoughts on that announcement and assertion made by the Ministry of Sport. In international sports news, Aaron Finch insists Australia have no scars after last year's World Cup semi-final defeat to England ahead of their white ball series against England, which begins with the first T20 international of a 3-match series tonight.
And around the world in 60, we take off in Australia, where the Melbourne Rebels will welcome back captain and fullback Dane Haylett-Petty for their season-deciding Super Rugby AU clash with the Western Force tomorrow. In the state of New York, Andy Murray's US Open dreams came to a crushing end as exciting Canadian prospect Felix Auger-Aliassime claimed a convincing straight sets win in the early hours of the morning. And in Florida, OG Anunoby beat the final buzzer with a 3-pointer as the Toronto Raptors stunned the Boston Celtics 104-103 in Game 3 of their Eastern Conference semi-final series.
Well, being a Friday, we certainly love a party track, so don't miss out on that during our play of the day, Fire Friday. And then it's the beautiful game kicking off with the UEFA Nations League, where Spain scored a stoppage time equalizer through Jose Luis Gaya to draw 1-1 away to Germany in the Nations League opener and the first international in almost 10 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And then we go south of the Limpopo into the ABSA Premiership, the very last match day under that name. And Coach Ernst Middendorf of Kaizer Chiefs will be anxiously awaiting an update from the medical team on the availability of Kamabiliet and 3 other players as the Amakosi came out of their narrow victory over Chipa United with 4 casualties, who are in a race against time ahead of the title decider tomorrow versus Barroca. We go to Spain, La Liga. Lionel Messi's father and representative Jorge Messi has confirmed that his son is considering the possibility of seeing out the final year of his Barcelona contract rather than forcing a move immediately.
All of that and so much more to look forward to on this edition of ZiFM Sport. But first, our power play and a song as if named after the Messi saga in Spain. It's called OMG. What's happening? That's exactly what we're all asking in the world of sport. What's happening with Messi? Where's he going? Is he staying? What on earth is happening? This is Ava Max.
The Warriors, the Chevrons, the Cheetahs, the Mighty Warriors, and the Sables. From the pool to the track to the field, we are Team Zimbabwe. The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
We start as always on the home front, where the government could procure bucket seats locally while hoping CAF will clear the National Sports Stadium to host the Warriors 2022 AFCON qualifier against Algeria in November. With no fans expected for the match, a government feel CAF could waive the requirement for the bucket seats ahead of the showdown against the African champions. Youth Sport, Arts and Recreation Deputy Minister Tino Machakaire said, "We're hoping that we can get a waiver from CAF and be allowed to use the National Sports Stadium without bucket seats. We have been severely affected by the COVID-19 lockdown, and we weren't able to procure some of the material needed for the renovations." It's the same message that we heard from the Minister of Youth, Sport, Arts and Recreation, Kirsty Coventry, earlier in the year when she toured the giant facility, as it is called. And so they're being consistent in their communication and now are hoping for a waiver. Your thoughts, Alois Bunjira?
Yeah, first of all, I like it, when people come out and tell the truth. That, we're not going to have bucket seats and we're hoping for a waiver. That's actually what we want. Tell us the truth. I heard it when people lie. We were told that the only reason why the bucket seats were not here, it was because of COVID, but they have been procured, shipment was delayed because of COVID. So why are we now getting them locally when procurement was already done? We're waiting for shipment. We thought that by this time now we could have received the bucket seats. So sometimes, we trust goes away, it falls away. So we don't know exactly what to believe. Next time you make a statement, we won't really know. But I hope that they are doing some work so that this game can be played. For goodness sake, we just want this game to be played. But the issue of bucket seats, they are just dilly-dallying around it. But CAF is not going to budge anytime. CAF wants the bucket seats. So we can delay as much as we can, but CAF wants bucket seats. It's a requirement. So they will have to write a letter hoping for a waiver and all that. But still, after that match, we still got to get the bucket seats. We need them. If they haven't procured them or whatever, we need them. They still have to. So that's my thoughts. I hope that yes, CAF are going to agree on the waiver because our own but they want them. So hopefully we will get them.
Look, I don't think it's in dispute that the bucket seats are going to come at some point, whether it's 10 years from now or whatever the case may be. Bucket seats will ultimately come to the National Sports Stadium, but it looks like the waiver is what they're looking for so that Algeria can be hosted on these fair shores. Now, earlier on, Chris, Peter Shema Bena, who is the chairman of the ZiFA First Instance Board, we recall, toured the facility and then sent a report to CAF. He says that CAF were particular about the bucket seats. Why is it that the First Instance Board couldn't have a conversation with the owner of the facility, the Ministry of Youth, Sports, Arts and Recreation, and then give them feedback initially to say, look, you've made good progress, but these elements still need to be addressed, rather than referring everything to CAF, and then CAF is the one that's going to come back and say, actually, it's a no. Surely, locally, we could have come up with a plan already to say, now cover these various bases.
Definitely. I think what's going on at the moment is we have almost, I'm going to say, a breakdown in our structures, because if those structures worked and existed in the way that they should, then we should have been able to sort this out at home base without having to go all the way up to CAF to sort things out like the way we're communicating with them now. I think what's going on is that we have a lack of will, because in as much as they'll talk about the fact that the procurement was done for the bucket seats and the bucket seats were supposed to be on their way, for me, I think it's realistic to say there's a delay. But the first time this discussion was had, this was at least 2.5, 3 months ago when they first started telling us that there's going to be a delay. If you are getting whatever goods it is from China, if they're not COVID related, everybody understands that at the moment there is a delay. Everybody understands that. But I'm not sure a 2.5, 3 month delay is just due to COVID. I think there's generally been delays. I think they're hoping that CAF will say, okay, this is fine, please proceed. But I think locally we have a breakdown and there's a lack of will to actually get things done. What we've done so far is the bare basics. Being able to bring in these bucket seats and actually complete what CAF required of us is the barest minimum, and still we're seeing a lack of will to be able to just complete the task. So if our local structures were working the way that they should, we wouldn't even need to be waiting for CAF to approve us to say, okay, fine, you can proceed without the bucket seat. It's all a bit airy-fairy and just showing that there's a lack of will.
Now, how come they haven't been closer, Mikey? The fact that ZiFA surely is in closer contact with CAF, and ZiFA can play a good mediator. After all, they are the leaseholder, in inverted commas, of the National Sports Stadium. Why is ZiFA not playing a more active role in ensuring that whatever renovations are done are to specification and ensure that we play our home matches at home? Why is there smoke and mirrors?
Yeah, Barry, I think, first of all, I think we must realize that some of the CAF regulations are not going to be swept under the carpet. CAF has made it very clear that national associations and their facilities should meet the regulations that they've put down on paper. And the reason why this one is going to be very difficult to sell to CAF is because these are regulations that have been in place for several years. This is not CAF just coming to Zimbabwe this year and asking to see our facilities and saying that the National Sports Stadium, Barber Fields and Rufaro are not up to scratch. No, they've been saying these things for several years. And in fact, the local body, Barry, that is led, of course, by, what's his name, Paraisha Mabena, they have been inspecting facilities in Zimbabwe. And they have, of course, been sometimes condemning facilities. And we as Zimbabweans have been guilty of throwing the emotional card out at the inspectors and saying, no, why isn't there football at Sakuva? Why isn't there football at Rufaro? We've got this sentimental attachment to our stadiums. And so we have always argued that, listen, local football can be played. But the problem is the standard that you play at local level, that is in the Casalaga Premier Soccer League, is the same standard that your national team is going to play at whenever they're in action. And so we should have put pressure on our clubs when it came to club licensing, when it came to those clubs meeting the standards that are set out by that ZIFA first instance board. Once the facilities, Barry, if they had been upgraded and brought up to scratch, then we wouldn't be having this conversation now. We would have been doing touch-ups to our major facilities like the National Sports Stadium. But I want to go back to the issue of bucket seats. And I think what my two colleagues have obviously missed, Barry, is the fact that the minister says that we might need to acquire these locally, which just throws it out in the open that there has been nothing bought in China, Alois and Chris. There's nothing that's been bought because they would not be making a double payment. He's talking about the fact that they need $9 million for these seats. So I don't think our government has got the money at the moment. I don't think ZIFA has got the money at the moment. And so there's no way that they would have made a payment in China for bucket seats and said, let's write off that payment. We're going to get these materials locally. So for me, it's quite revealing that in the last 8 months from January, nothing has been done.
So consequently, the requirement for bucket seats was seen as a nice to have by the ministry and wasn't seen as a key component of what needed to be done. Because if it was left for later, it was seen as something that we could forego and could essentially pass an inspection without actually having it done. Needless of the fact that Minister Kirsty Coventry herself said that they had been purchased.
Listen, I also want to add that if they do buy these bucket seats, Barry, or the materials locally, we have seen what the local job looks like. Anyone who's been to Rufaro Stadium, for example, knows what sort of bucket seats you're going to get if the materials are acquired locally. Those bucket seats at Rufaro Stadium are woeful. They are shameful. They are below quality, Barry. That is not the quality that we want at our National Sports Stadium. That is not the quality that we want at a national facility that's supposed to sell the nation, that's supposed to sell the brand of Warriors or whatever team is playing in that facility. So I remain hopeful that some plan can be made to purchase these abroad, but already the talk that's coming out of the Ministry of Sport, the Deputy Minister there, already betrayed the fact that they're going to go for the cheap option just to get CAF to tick off the facility.
It's a tragedy at the moment that our institutions are not working as one. It seems like we're pulling in different directions. We are reporting to different entities rather than us coming together. I feel that the Premier Soccer League should have been closer to the matter. ZIFA should have been closer to this matter, as well as the ministry that seems to be leading the matter insofar as the landlord and the leaseholders. It being a multi-use facility, perhaps the Zimbabwe Olympic Committee as well as the Sports and Recreation Commission should have been closer to the matter as well. We need to find a way to work together to get things done. And the important thing being getting things done. We'll keep you appraised as to what's happening with this story because it's of great interest. Come November, there's a match that's got to be played. Let's see where it's played.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
Time to give you a local sports news roundup, starting with cricket news. And Zimbabwe cricket have been given until the 20th of October to arrive in Pakistan for the scheduled tour of the Asian nation for the limited overs cricket series. The series is part of the ICC Super League. Pakistan have confirmed they will host Zimbabwe between November and December for 3 one-day internationals and 3 T20 internationals. Zimbabwe cricket, who have been forced to cancel most of their fixtures this year due to the coronavirus outbreak, have since applied to the government to get the green light to travel to the subcontinent. Tennis news. Efforts are underway to set up a tennis center in Mofakose, a high-density suburb which produced some of the country's former top players and coaches. The project is part of collective efforts by those who came through the Mofakose Tennis Coaching Agency that was run by Albert Namoyebonde. Head of the coaching department, Martin Zua, said the idea was to give back to the community and revive the sport. We wrap it up with boxing. Local boxers have started receiving COVID-19 relief funds from the Zimbabwe National Boxing and Wrestling Control Board. The funds were provided by the government to cushion athletes. The government came to the aid of local athletes with a $10 million RTGS package that has already gone to the associations. Elite athletes received a one-off payment in allowances, and boxers who are registered with the ZNB WCB received various amounts ranging from $2,000 to $8,000 each.
Hi, this is Mike Madoda, and you can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
We are building up to what should be an exciting weekend of sport. If you love your football, there are some internationals that are being played in Europe as the best nations go head-to-head in friendly matches in that continent. So we'll give you updates on matches that were played last night, as well as some of the fixtures that are falling this weekend, all in the beautiful game, and then build up to the final match day in the ABSA Premiership, where after 90 minutes, one team will be crowned champions. Will it be Sundowns, the defending champions, or will it be Kaiser Chiefs, who are trying to restore the glory days? But before that, let's get into our international sport with cricket. Now, Aaron Finch insists Australia have no scars after last year's World Cup semi-final defeat to England ahead of their white ball series against England. Owen Morgan's men triumphed by 8 wickets after dismissing their rivals for 223 at Edgbaston en route to becoming world champions on home turf in 2019. Australia and England will renew acquaintances with 3 T20 matches in Southampton starting tonight, followed by 3 one-day internationals at Old Trafford in Manchester. Let's hear from Australia coach Justin Langer, who says his side are on the right path in T20 cricket.
Well, what pleased me most is we know what the formula works. I mean, I've known that as a head coach for some time. We trusted it, we stuck to it, and it's going. You know, the boys have played really well. I think the partnership between Ashton Agar and Zamps has been great. I think the top order's been excellent. I think we've had a nice settled team and squad. So, and ultimately that's what success is about, isn't it? Just getting the combinations right, getting the team right, getting the style of play or the setup of the team right. So I think we're on the right path in T20 cricket, and we've got 2 World Cups coming up in the next couple of years. So we've just got to keep getting better and better and polishing up those lineups.
Z.
Both captain and coach there, Barry, Aaron Finch, as well as Justin Langer, coordinated in their belief and comfortable in their belief that, listen, they are moving in the right direction and that they bear no scars from past defeats to England.
Absolutely, and I have no reason not to believe them, because this is an Australian side that has rediscovered its soul. An Australian side that when they were losing matches, when they were going off the rails, it was as a result of losing that spine, that ability to, that mental fortitude that ability to bounce back from setbacks such as the one they experienced during the World Cup. And even then, in the World Cup, it's just a match. You can win or lose, and in that instance, the result went the wrong way for them. So I believe that this is a side that's got a lot more mental fortitude than we'll see that evidence as soon as the series begins tonight. So 100%, I expect that they're going to go 100%, to coin a phrase. I expect that they're going to be extremely competitive, and I expect that if England, whichever team here blinks, that's the one that's going to lose this series, because you've got very good sides here.
Very good sides here, Chris, and I think a little fact that's lost upon most pundits is that Australia is the number 1 ranked T20 international side.
Definitely, and I think it's also important to remember the fact that in this particular squad, they've got some really incredible players. If you take a look at their setup, Steve Smith is going to be the tempo setter. Glenn Maxwell's back at number 4 and in place of Matthew Wade. Mitchell Wash and Alex Carey looks set to be given the mid-innings as well. And if you just take a look at that squad, this is not a squad that you'd think would come against a squad like England and will be able to falter. They're going to have a tough time. This is a squad that could definitely win this.
Definitely win this, Barry, and of course it's a very interesting schedule. They're just playing white ball cricket, starting with the T20 International Series. That's of course getting underway at exactly 7 p.m. Zimbabwe time. So just when we've just finished wrapping up the entire show, the first ball will be getting bowled at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton, and then the next match, the second T20 International, will be on Sunday at the same venue, with the third T20 International on Tuesday, and then they flip over to the one-day international series, which will start on Friday the 11th of September at Old Trafford. The second one-day international is on the 13th of September, which is Sunday, and then they'll wrap it up on Wednesday the 16th of September for the third one-day international at the same venue. So the T20 internationals at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton, and the one-day international series all being played at Old Trafford in Manchester. Not the football stadium, but just across the river at the cricket stadium. That's where they will be playing. Now, Barry, let's take a look at England themselves. By means no mugs, we talked about the fact that they've, I think, not lost any of their last 6 T20 international series. We've just seen them come off the back of a very exciting and thrilling 1-1 draw against an unpredictable Pakistan, and they showed England that they do have some really good players. Their captain, Owen Morgan, is bang on form, but they look like they're trying to find a settled side, especially as far as their batting is concerned.
Yeah, and they're sort of saying that, and I think it's a bit of an excuse before going into the series, saying that they're trying to find the right mix, find the right settle on a team, as it were. But look, there are times you do that, and you can do that against Pakistan, you can do that against the West Indies, but you can't do that against Australia, because it's the old enemy. And both of these sides are going to go out and want to win it. But I think secretly England knows that Australia are the better side. The rankings also demonstrate that. But knowing that, and knowing that you've got a few form players, they're sneaking. They think they have a sneaky suspicion that they could pull off a result here. Owen Morgan himself, he's come back into form at exactly the right time. He's leading from the front and delivering the performances that are required. Moeen Ali is back in form as well, who would have thought? So he can do a job when required. So in truth, it's an England side that can spring a surprise, but that's what it'll be for me. It'll be a surprise. It'll be exactly that against the Aussie side.
Okay, so Australia have won 9 of their 16 T20 internationals against England since their first encounter in 2005, including 7 of their 10 meetings this decade. However, England won their most recent engagement at Edgbaston in 2018, where they posted 221 for 5, their highest T20 international total against Australia. And another little side stat, if you're one for that sort of thing, Finch needs 11 runs to become the second Australian after David Warner to reach 2,000 runs in T20 internationals. Like I said, first ball will be bowled at exactly 7 p.m. Central African time. It's Australia versus England at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton.
Hi, I'm JC Krill, Springbok and Blue Bulls backline player. You are listening to ZiFM Sports.
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
We take off in Australia, where the Melbourne Rebels will welcome back captain and fullback Dane Petty for their season-deciding Super Rugby AU clash with the Western Force tomorrow. Injuries have also hit the side as star prop Ponefa Musili went down with a hamstring strain during training this week, while outside back Campbell Magnay has hurt his ankle. Famusili's injury is especially damaging as he has ranked among the form props in Super Rugby AU. In the US state of New York, Andy Murray's US Open dreams came to a crushing end as exciting Canadian prospect Felix Auger-Aliassime claimed a convincing straight sets win with 6-2, 6-3, 6-4 in the early hours of the morning. Serena Williams moved into the third round and set up a meeting with fellow American Sloane Stephens as she took a step closer to the Magic 24. Serena came through against Russian Margarita Gasparyan 6-2, 6-4 on Arthur Ashe. And in Florida, OG Anunoby beat the final buzzer with a three-pointer as the Toronto Raptors stunned the Boston Celtics 104-103 in Game 3 of their Eastern Conference semi-final series. Boston appeared to be heading to a 3-0 series lead, but Anunoby connected on his shot to complete the comeback win to leave Boston with a 2-1 series lead. Elsewhere, Kawhi Leonard scored 29 points and the LA Clippers rolled past the Denver Nuggets 120-97 in Game 1 of the Western Conference semifinals.
Hi, I'm Warriors coach Zdravko Logarušić and you are listening to ZiFM Sport.
Sports with a difference. Z. The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport.
Just when you thought that all league football was over and there was going to be a bit of a break before it all kicks off again, well, Nations football is underway in Europe under the UEFA Nations League, and last night there was action. The pick of the fixtures, of course, Spain taking on Germany, and Spain scoring a stoppage time equalizer through Jose Luis Gaya to draw 1-1 away to Germany in their Nations League opener and first international in almost 10 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Locally born Timo Werner struck 6 minutes after half-time, threading a low shot between two defenders to beat keeper David De Gea in an empty Stuttgart arena. Spain had looked set to fail to score for the first time after 40 consecutive games before Gaya sneaked in to score with the last kick of the game. After the match, Spain's Luis Enrique says David De Gea deserves praise after his performance.
David De Gea, ya que cuando alguna vez comete un fallo todos le...
I also want to talk about David De Gea because sometimes he makes mistakes and everybody looks for the bad side. But when he has a game like this, we should also make some noise, right? He's had many games like this in the Premier League. I've seen these matches. It would be good if tomorrow we saw something on the front page of important newspapers so that they might say, what a great goalkeeper we have. That would be good.
Z.
Fittingly, we have two big Manchester United fans here, Chris Gray and, of course, Alois Bunjira. Alois, you were very disparaging about David De Gea back end of last season. What was your assessment of his performance last night? His coach, Luis Enrique, saying thumbs up.
Yeah, I think he did well. And when you look at him now, I think for him to also get the nod for Spain, I think it was actually a very good boost. But David De Gea, let's be honest. Even at Manchester United, he had his games that he is absolutely fantastic. Then 2 minutes to go, then he makes a howler. He is somebody who you can't trust until the final whistle is gone. So for Spain last night, I think he kept his concentration 100%, and he was probably that's what he needs even when playing for Manchester United. There's some lack of concentration that comes to him, and sometimes he uses unorthodox methods of defending his goal. I don't know, but he looks mature and well calmed down when he's playing for Spain. I'm not sure why he is so jittery when he's playing for Manchester United. Maybe he needs to talk about it. We need to ask him. Ask him, why are you so calm? Why are you so calm when you play for Spain and you are so jittery when you're playing for Manchester United?
Perhaps Alois and perhaps Chris, It's a case of the pressure that comes with playing at Old Trafford, the pressure that comes with putting on the Manchester United shirt, the pressure of playing in a team that was, for large periods of last season, low on confidence and didn't seem like they were headed in the right direction until the restart, when we saw Manchester United really hit their straps and continue that good run of form that we saw back end just before the COVID-19 enforced break. He looked last night good with the ball at his feet. His positioning was great. Handling was good. Everything ticked all the boxes, didn't he, Chris?
Ticked all the boxes, and you could definitely see there was a degree of confidence there that's not necessarily always there when he's playing for Manchester United. I think, like Alois said, it's about when you take a look at the Premier League, it's week in, week out. You have to be putting up consistent performances every single match day, and I think that's what lacks when it comes to David De Gea, is you can't trust him every single week. So I think in a scenario like this, where he's not necessarily it's not necessarily a drawn-out, year-long competition where he has to perform weekly, then I think there's a degree of confidence. And I also think just the coach there giving that nod and saying he made a good performance, I think he needs that constant reassurance and to just get his game back, essentially. David De Gea, the skill is there. We know there was a season where he consistently saved Manchester United. And if we're to bring that David De Gea back, I think he's a brilliant goalkeeper. I just think he's been out of form for so long. He's almost become, he's lost his confidence. And that's the issue, is week in, week out, you need someone with confidence to perform. And with Spain, he has an opportunity here to be confident because they are uplifting him. They are saying, these kind of positive words.
Almost a case of the goalkeepers, isn't it, Mike? Because also on the other end, under the posts on the other side, Kevin Trapp picked ahead of Manuel Neuer. So it was, and he too had a fantastic performance between the sticks for Germany. So there's lots of potential and scope going forward for both these teams.
Yeah, I think picked ahead of Manuel Neuer because the usual protagonists were not available. Manuel Neuer had an extended season, so he was not selected. You didn't have any of the Bayern Munich team's players in the Germany team. Ter Stegen is injured and will only be back in November. So Kevin Trapp getting the nod. I don't expect him to play a significant role for Germany in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 years. He's always going to be sort of like a backup keeper to Manuel Neuer and Ter Stegen. So credit to him for having a decent performance. But going back to David De Gea, I think the main difference with David De Gea for Spain and David De Gea for Manchester United is look who's playing in front of him. When he's playing for Spain, he's got Sergio Ramos. Sergio Ramos is one of the true leaders of the game in world football. He's one of the most fantastic captains that we have seen in European football ever. And so he's got an organizer, he's got a leader, he's got someone who takes the organizational pressure away from him and allows him to merely concentrate on goalkeeping. He doesn't have that at Manchester United. At Manchester United, he's got a Harry Maguire and Lindelof and Eric Bailly and Shaw and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. It's a team that's singularly lacking in leadership and organizational ability. And that's what compounds the pressure on David De Gea, because he's having to go through too many processes, and he's not that sort of player. Not forgetting that David De Gea at one time wore the armband for Manchester United. So it just adds to the point I'm trying to make, that when he's playing for Spain and he's got your likes of Ramos, he's got your likes of Busquets in that team, Thiago Alcantara, these are all bona fide leaders and organizers.
And just with you, Mike, Ansu Fati, the youngest player to turn out for Spain in nearly a generation, at least a generation, in ages. And it's very good to see him get a run out. He didn't have the best of games, but he didn't shirk responsibility. He certainly looked for the ball.
I don't know what you're talking about, Barry, when you say he didn't have the best of games, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic. No, those were jitters. I think it was jitters because at that age, he's coming in. He's Spain's youngest debutant. You mentioned a generation. No, it's 3 generations, Barry, since 1936. He's coming in at that age. He started off slowly. He's a guy who probably had a goal wrongfully disallowed. Fantastic header which he planted into the back of the net because of an infringement by Sergio Ramos. I thought he did well, and I think most reviews have been talking him up. He's certainly a player that I've argued should have been starting more for Barcelona, and I will argue should start for Spain, playing wide left of attack, because you saw when Spain was chasing the game, his involvement, and he's almost, for me, that's what I love about him, the fact that he's able to get into dangerous places. He knows where the ball is going to be, and Alois played as a striker and will tell you that you need to have a nose for it. You know, you need
the anticipation.
The anticipation. When you look at Ansu Fati, Barry, look at his involvement in that game. How many times he was getting on the ball, how much his teammates were willing to involve him. There was a lot of trust that was shown to that young boy. They were willing to give him the ball when they were chasing a result. It shows you that the Spanish team believe in his ability, and he was involved. When they were battering down the door in injury time, he was very much involved in play. So he can only get better. I would love to see him get a start, especially against someone like your second tier nation. See how he does when Spain plays a Wales, plays a Ukraine, plays a team of that nature, and see if he's able to really light it up.
Well, the way that the Nations League looks now, Ukraine lead League A Group 4 with 3 points following a 2-1 win over Switzerland, and then Germany and Spain sitting, of course, on that point after the result last night. The Germans next travel to Switzerland on Sunday, while Spain host Ukraine. Last night's Nation League's result for you in the key games: Russia 3-1 winners over Serbia, and then Wales prevailing over Finland 1-0. Fixtures, key weekend fixtures in the Nations League. You can look forward to Italy taking on Bosnia-Herzegovina, Netherlands versus Poland. Iceland will take on England, where Grealish could possibly turn out for the Three Lions. Denmark takes on Belgium. Portugal versus Croatia, and it's Sweden who entertain France.
The beating drum. The roaring fans. Take a ride on the wild side with the Africa Report on ZiFM Sport.
It's all come to a head in the ABSA Premiership. It's the final match day tomorrow. Chiefs versus Sundowns. They're not playing each other, but those are the two teams that are going head to head for title glory. And who will it go to? Chiefs in Johannesburg or Sundowns in Tshwane, Pretoria, if you will. Let's start with Kaizer Chiefs, and their coach Ernst Middendorp is anxiously waiting for an update from the medical team on the availability of Kama Billiat, the Warriors International, and 3 other players as Kaizer Chiefs came out of their narrow victory over Chippa United with 4 casualties who are in a race against time ahead of the title decider tomorrow. Alois, you take a look at that game that Chiefs played versus Chippa. It was very physical. Chippa were very aggressive, tenacious in the attack. We saw Kama go down on a couple of occasions, some tough tackles, and of course his coach is anxiously awaiting confirmation that he will be available. Or is it a case of mind games?
Now, I'm not sure if Kama is really injured, because when I watched the game, I didn't see a time when I felt that he was injured. Probably it was an aftermath, after cooling down, then you can actually realize that you're injured. But it can well be a mind game, Mike, like you are saying. But it's going to be very tricky for Kaizer Chiefs as well, because they are playing a team that is capable of beating them. They beat Mamelodi Sundowns just a few games ago, and they are fighting for their lives as well. And who knows what they will bring, because probably they will come and say Kama Billiat is actually the top man, they need to mark him out of the game. So probably it can actually be mind game, so that they can actually be swayed out of their plans to actually come in and mark Kama Billiat out. They think that Kama is out, but I think Kama Billiat is available. He is going to play, because when you have a game like this, last match of the season, you want your best player. He scored against Chippa. When somebody has just scored, you actually need that momentum to carry through to the next game. So they are believing that he is back. Even himself, Kamabilia, he can actually believe that I'm now back. So he wouldn't want to miss this game. And obviously to redeem himself, this is a very good platform for him. It can cancel out everything that has been said throughout the season. If he scores this one, and they win. So he desperately wants, even if he has got a knock, I'm sure this is the one match that he can take with an injection. He will play with a painkiller injection and play this one game knowing that we're going for off-season after this. So I'm definitely sure that he is going to play, and this is one crunch match for Kaizer Chiefs. The good thing about it is they've got the match in their own hands.
Absolutely. That's because Chiefs go into the final match day on top of the log on goal difference following their 1-0 win over Chippa. They face Baroka at the Bidvest Stadium, and Middendorp says he's well aware that his side needs to win at any cost tomorrow.
It's about points now. It's about winning. I'm fully aware about it. This is not the soccer what presents Kaizer Chiefs. There's no doubt about it. But
Barry, will it simply come down to the fact that if Chiefs win, their champions, or Mamelodi Sundowns could turn it on and have a swing in that goal difference, because that's a 3-0 victory in midweek will leave Chiefs looking over their shoulders slightly nervously, because if they win 5-0, for example, Sundowns could pimp Chiefs at the post.
Yeah, it's not a comfortable scenario at all, because it's all level and even. And in truth, if there is a team that can turn it on and get a big victory, it's Mamelodi Sundowns under Pitso Mosimane. So I think they're going to be looking for goals. I think Kaizer Chiefs want to make it safe very early on. Try and at least get a 2-goal cushion in the first half, so that the second half is them sort of keeping an eye on what's going on at the other venue. But in truth, at the moment, win and your champions is a good position to be in. But as you point out, you've got that secondary thought that thinks that extra point of having goal difference is a very slender margin and can easily be erased if Mamelodi Sundowns turns it on.
But do they have it in them, Barry? You know, since football restarted in South Africa, Kaizer Chiefs have looked like a side that's just going after the win. I haven't seen a desire to really put teams to the sword. They've looked like they've been content on occasion to sit on the 1-goal lead. Is it a team that you feel has got the confidence and the goals?
I think it's a team that is realizing that this isn't going to be given to them on a plate. And I'm basing that on that previous game against Chippa, where in that first half we saw a Kaizer Chiefs that had energy. We haven't seen that since the restart. We saw a Kaizer Chiefs that was willing to press, try and win the ball back. We saw Kamabilia running his cotton socks off. He realized that there's work that needs to be done. So for me, it's a team that upon that realization alone that they're going to have to work for this league title, could actually see them go across the line. And unfortunately, they're limping over the line when everybody thought it'll be a blitzkrieg. They would have sewn this up with 4 games to spare. Unfortunately, they've gotten into this situation and now need to work and knuckle down and get it actually done. So yes, to answer your question, they are capable.
They are capable, but in the blue corner, it is Pitso Mosimane and his Mamelodi Sundowns team. They'll be looking to get the business done, and Pitso says that they will not envy their title rivals, but warned Kaizer Chiefs they will not get the ABSA Premiership trophy on a platter.
Whoever wins it, but we are not going to give to anybody, as I told you. I told you when we lost, not when we win. We all have to work for it, yeah? It's on the edge, okay? We don't have it. We had one chance this year. Only one chance against Baroka to come up. Otherwise, we've been chasing. But what's good? To close a 13-point gap. This is what I told the boys. I said, you close a 13-point gap to be where you are now. For me, I give them credit, because while other people are resting, where were we? In Cairo, in Morocco, fighting for Telkom Cup to win it, fighting for the Netbank. I mean, really, we cannot be that ungrateful. If we get it, we get it. If we don't get it, we have done our best.
Chris, we just listened to Pitso talking there, and of course he's deflecting, heaping all the pressure on Kaizer Chiefs. Now, they're playing their game versus Black Leopards, who are to be honest, all but done. So that's, some would say, an easy fixture. But the problem is they're playing in Dobsonville, and Dobsonville has been the poorest surface that we have seen since the return of football. This could work against Pizzo, who loves a slick passing game.
Definitely. But one thing I think we can count on is the fact that Pizzo knows how to read a game. He knows how to read a team and to prepare for that particular team. And I think in this match against Black Leopards, who might still have a little bit of fight in them, it's not going to be an easy fixture. Like you said, that surface is absolutely terrible. Also, the team that they're playing against, it's always a little bit tricky when you're playing against these smaller, almost relegation threatened teams right at the end, because these teams still they have nothing to lose basically. So when they're coming into this match, they're coming into it with a lot of fight. So I think if Pizzo is able to read this game correctly and to prepare well for that team, I definitely think Mamelodi Sundowns can win this match.
It's all set up for a very interesting final match day in the ABSA Premiership. Like Chris said, it's top versus bottom. It's Kaizer Chiefs who will be taking on Baroka. Both teams need to win. Sundowns are taking on Black Leopards. Both teams need to win. And so it's too close to call that one as to how it will end up. We'll also be keeping an eye on the ABSA Premiership top scorers right now. Gabadinho Mango. He came off the bench in Orlando Pirates last game to score one, to see him go top of the standings together with Peter Shalulile, a guy that I have called the best striker in the league. It turns out for Tapua Kapini's Highlands Park. Also sniffing in there, Bradley Hrobler of SuperSport United and Samir Nukovic of SuperSport United. Noxon Tizwa is also scoring for Golden Arrows, and he'll be looking to get a brace or hat trick to make sure that he's crowned winner of the Golden Boot.
The league that makes football oh so beautiful, where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day, where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
The goal the world wants it!
Possibly the most anticipated move that could or could not happen, and we've all been keeping our eye on this one. Lionel Messi's father and representative Jorge Messi has confirmed that his son is considering the possibility of seeing out the final year of his Barcelona contract rather than forcing a move immediately. Six-time Ballon d'Or winner Messi has informed the Blaugrana of his desire to leave the Camp Nou after a disappointing season in 2019-2020. Barca failed to win a single trophy and were humiliated in the Champions League with an 8-2 quarter-final defeat to Bayern Munich.
That's all we have time for. We gotta go. Have a fantastic weekend, Zimbabwe. May God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manande, out.
And it's Messi! It is the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
The biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behavior.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.